When I found out I hadn't been accepted into the college I'd aspired to attend, my world went dark, and it felt like the end of everything.
Wait, what? You didn't get in?
My mom looked at me with a terrifying glare as I told her the news. Well, I did get accepted into another college. My feeble voice was drowned out by my dad's stern words.
If you go anywhere else than there, I ain't paying a dime.
I don't have any money to go to college on my own. Never got an allowance, didn't do any part-time jobs, and instead studied diligently at home, aiming for my first choice. So what he's saying is, do not go to college.
Man, all that nerdy studying and you still failed. Pathetic.
My younger brother, Kevin, laughed mockingly at me. I lived with my dad, who ran a business, my stay-at-home mom, and Kevin, 3 years my junior. I've always been quiet and not good at expressing my feelings. On the other hand, Kevin was straightforward, good at being spoiled, and so adept at getting by that even his whims were tolerated. I don't believe all kids are cherished equally by their parents.
Honestly, Jake is so reserved and not endearing.
Yeah, but Kevin, he's always smiling and cute.
Parents are human after all. There probably are kids they find endearing and others not so much. Kids like me, lacking in charm, are pushed away, while the more affectionate ones, like Kevin, are doted upon. Despite being the older brother, only Kevin got new clothes, shoes, candies, and toys, while I was given hand-me-downs from neighbors. Still, I was starved for my parents' love. I devoted myself to studying for college entrance exams, hoping that if I got into a prestigious school, they might finally accept me. I had even been told by my teachers that I was almost certain to get in. But on the day of the exams, the pressure got to me and I fell ill. I forced myself to go to the exam venue, but I couldn't even complete half of the test. I deciphered the underlying meaning of my parents' words that they won't pay for my college, it's time for me to leave this house. And so, after high school, I left home. I'm leaving. As I muttered this and left, not a single family member was there to see me off. I didn't have much money on me. I got on a train without any destination in mind and headed, for some reason, towards the coast. I got off at a station overlooking the sea, and as I aimlessly stared at it, my stomach grumbled. I thought I should eat something, but the feeling of utter hopelessness only grew stronger. I lay down on the beach, curling up. No one would grieve if I die now. Not Dad, Mom, or even Kevin. But then, my body was shaken by someone.
Hey, are you okay?
I opened my eyes to find a girl about middle school age looking at me with concern. I'm sorry, I'm okay. I sat up, and the growl of my empty stomach made me blush.
Did you run away from home?
Before I could think of a response, she took my hand.
We run a hotel. Come eat something, then you can tell me what happened.
I was led to a hotel called Seaside Inn.
Mom, this guy was passed out at the beach. Please, give him something to eat.
The girl called out to an elegant woman in a dress, who frowned.
Here, dear, call me Mrs. Collins here. Hungry, are you? Come on over. It's just our staff meal, but if you like to.
She served me a bowl full of fresh seafood. Oh, thank you for preparing the meal for me. I was so captivated by the deliciousness that I eagerly ate with my fork.
So, why were you lying on the beach?
Mrs. Collins asked, and I explained how I ended up here. I was on the brink of despair, thinking I'd have to live on my own from now on. Your daughter brought me here, and you treated me to such a wonderful meal. It made me realize that life is not all bad, and that I should keep pushing forward. Thank you. I expressed my gratitude many times. Mrs. Collins placed her hands on my shoulders.
Hey, how about you working here for us? Also, you can live here.
Hearing this, her daughter brightened up instantly.
Why not?
Touched by the warmth of the two, tears welled up in my eyes. Thank you. I look forward to working with you. From that day, I was given a room in the hotel to live in and began working behind the scenes. My tasks included cleaning guest rooms, hallways, bathrooms, making beds, and other essential tasks that guests wouldn't necessarily see but were crucial. It was hard at first, but Mrs. Collins and the other employees treated me warmly like I was family. The owner chef, who is Mrs. Collins' husband, always made sure I had a hearty meal, saying, "You are still growing, so eat up." Despite his intimidating appearance like a gangster, he was caring and kind-hearted. Mrs. Collins' daughter, named Sarah, often came to the common room of the dormitory after I finished work. I'd help her with homework or we'd play video games together.
You seem more relaxed now compared to when you first came.
Mrs. Collins remarked one day. Looking in the mirror later, I felt she was right. It was all thanks to the kind-hearted people at the hotel. Wanting to give them back, I became even more dedicated to my job. After a few years, I was assigned to work at the front desk. I never thought I could handle interacting with guests, but now I can naturally serve them with a smile. I've been assigned front desk duties. I immediately texted Sarah. She had gone to New York for college to learn about business management for the hotel's future. With Sarah planning to take over Seaside Inn, I was determined to support the hotel wholeheartedly. After graduating, Sarah returned and began working as the young manager.
I want to liven up Seaside Inn even further. Jake, I need your help.
She begged me to discuss how to attract more guests to the hotel. We need to put forth the best of what the hotel has to offer without changing the current facilities. The specialty of Seaside Inn is, of course, the mouth-watering dishes prepared by the owner-chef. Until now, meals were served either in rooms or in a large dining hall, so I proposed transitioning the dining hall meals to a buffet style. Also introduced a late-night snack buffet set after 10 p.m. included in the room rate. This new plan was a hit, especially among couples, young families, and groups of friends, filling our bookings months in advance. One day, I was cleaning a guest room. A back-of-house staff member had fallen ill, and we were short on hands, so I decided to help out. I have learned to do various jobs in the hotel, as I proactively offer help wherever it is needed, whether it's the back-of-house team, maids, or the kitchen when we are short-staffed. As I was changing the bed linens, I overheard Mrs. Collins' voice from the corridor.
Your room is right this way.
She was guiding guests. I glanced up to see the guests she was leading, and I was stunned. It was my parents and younger brother. Beside my brother stood a beautiful woman.
Never thought I'd see you here.
He sneered, looking at me with disdain.
You can't do anything but clean at your age. We did right by kicking you out.
My mother mocked, with my brother joining in the ridicule.
Haha, it's so pathetic. I've taken over my dad's business and married the daughter of a renowned businessman. Quite a contrast to you, isn't it?
I clenched my fists tightly. I take pride in my job here. Behind-the-scenes work is essential for a hotel. There's nothing to be ashamed of. These words were not only for myself, but also for everyone at the hotel who had been taking care of me. Suddenly, Mrs. Collins swiftly turned on her heel.
I'm sorry, I mistakenly showed you the wrong place. Please follow me this way. Would you like to join as well, Jake?
Prompted by her, I curiously followed. From our earlier conversation, she should have realized that they are my family. Is she trying to reconcile us as a family?
Right this way.
The place she showed us was the entrance.
What the hell is going on?
My mother, visibly angry, confronted Mrs. Collins, who remained calm.
Jake is not only a valuable employee to us, but also like a family. We will not allow anyone who pressures him, kicks him out of his home, and mocks his feelings to stay in our hotel.
We've already paid our room charges. We have every right to stay here as customers. Jake, who left home on his own, is no longer part of our family.
I felt a surge of anger within me at my father's words. At that moment, I heard footsteps running down the hallway.
Catherine, I entered the room, but you weren't there. What happened?
It was Sarah, the junior landlady. Then, the woman standing next to my younger brother turned to Sarah.
I was so shocked too. Who would have thought that Kevin, my fiancé, and his parents were the family who abandoned Jake?
Sarah and Catherine had been college friends. Sarah had often talked about me to Catherine during their college days. It was Catherine's idea to stay at the hotel today. Catherine firmly addressed Kevin.
I'm breaking off our engagement. I've heard from Sarah about how wonderful a person Jake is. After hearing those harsh words earlier, I understand how poorly your family treated him. I'll report this to my father.
Kevin's face turned pale, and he was at a loss for words. My parents desperately pleaded with her.
Wait, please, Catherine. If we don't get financial assistance from your father, our company will go bankrupt.
Let's calm down. I think there's been some misunderstanding. Let's talk it out, okay?
Kevin, his face flushed, yelled at me.
It's all because of you that my engagement got called off. What are you going to do about it?
My family began hurling insults at me. I felt guilty for causing trouble to Mrs. Collins and Sarah and was worried about potential repercussions.
Get out.
A deep, forceful voice rang out from behind. Turning around, I saw the owner chef, Mr. Bob, glaring menacingly, holding a chef's knife.
If you harm this hotel or Jake, you'll pay the price.
Those words made the three of them gulp, and they hastily left the entrance. Only Catherine stayed behind at the hotel. As planned, she stayed the night after informing her father about the broken engagement and the reasons for it, and enjoyed spending time with her old college friend. Later on, I heard that my father's company went bankrupt since it didn't get any financial assistance from Catherine's father. Kevin, not wanting to bear the debt, left the house. After a while, the hotel received a phone call.
Is Jake Smith working there?
Recognizing the voice, I knew immediately it was my mother. I'm sorry, but Jake Smith doesn't work here. It wasn't a lie when I said that. After all, after marrying Sarah, I took her surname and became Jake Collins. I had already completed the procedures to disclaim any inheritance from my parents. Although I thought she'd recognize my voice immediately, my mother continued to appeal, seemingly oblivious.
Our family has been ruined because of him. He needs to take responsibility and pay off our debt. He's there, isn't he? Put him on the phone.
I could sense the intense hatred directed towards me through the phone. At that moment, Sarah took my phone.
His family is right here, not someone like you. Never call us again.
She sharply rebuked and hung up the call. Then she cheekily stuck out her tongue.
I'm sorry, I acted on my own.
I smiled and shook my head slightly. Why apologize? It was the truth, right? She cried for me and then hugged me tightly. Yes, my precious family was right here. 7 years have passed since then.
Welcome.
Being warmly greeted by Mrs. Collins and her young assistant, the visitor turned out to be Catherine, my younger brother's former fiancée. She came to visit the hotel with her husband and 5-year-old son, Brandon.
Brandon, let's play.
My daughter, Lily, ran up to him, and the two of them, hand in hand, went inside the hotel.
You can take the day off since you have friends over today.
Sarah nodded with a big smile when Mrs. Collins told her this. I'm sure tonight Mr. Bob will serve a sumptuous dinner with all his heart. With that thought, I smiled, cherishing my happiness for the day.